Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to see about ratio. First let's see the definition given. Ratio is a comparison of two or more quantifiable items of same kind expressed into same measuring unit. If you want to understand the definition more clearly, we can divide the definition into four parts. First they say ratio is a comparison. So we compare some items. It can be A and B or X, Y or P, Z. It can be height of a min, and it can be anything. So basically ratio is a comparison. Secondly, it can be two or more items. Since ratio is a comparison, that doesn't mean we only have to compare two items. We can compare three items, four items, or it can be more. And third thing is these two are very important, so it must be in the same kind. So same kind means it must be the same. We have to compare a height with height, we have to compare a weight with weight. We can compare height with weight, so it must be same kind. Now these two are same because it is height and another man's height, so we can compare the ratio of 150 and 110. If they given a man's height is 150 centimeter and weight, instead of height, weight is 100 kgs, we can compare these two. So the comparison must be in same kind. And the fourth thing is the comparison must be in the same unit. What they mean by same unit? In this given example, the man's height is 150 centimeter and another man's height was 110 centimeter, so it can be compared. But if they given first man's height is 150 centimeter and second man's height is 10 feet, we can compare these things. So it must be in the same kind. Whether it have to change, they both have to change into feet or they both have to change into centimeter, then only we can compare. Okay, from this definition we came to know that ratio is a comparison between two or more quantifiable items. It must be in same kind and it must be in same unit. Okay, the second point is we use this symbol. The symbol means is to compare. For example, here we are comparing 150 centimeter and 100 centimeter. If we write it in the ratio, we have to write it as 150 is to 100. This symbol is called as is to. Then only it becomes a ratio. So 150 100 is wrong. We have to write it as 150 is to 100. Then only it becomes a ratio. Okay. The third thing is ratio can be expressed as fraction. In this they like to say is 1:5 also written as 1/5. It can be expressed into fraction. This is fraction. Okay. For example, if they given 150 is to 100, we can write it also 150 by 100. Okay. A is to B also written as A by B. X is to Y can be written as X by Y. And vice versa. A by B can also be written as A is to B. Okay. Next we have to know is what this number represents. The first number means antecedent and second number means consequent. So here 1 is antecedent and 5 is consequent. Here X is antecedent and Y is consequent. Okay. The next important thing is ratio is always positive. Here they given 5 is to 3. This is right. 5 is to minus 3 cannot be right. So ratio is always positive. This ratio is correct, but minus 3 is to 2 is wrong. It must be in positive. It must be in a positive statement. So ratio is always positive. This can be negative. Remember. Okay. The next last important thing is ratio should be in the simplest form. Ratio should be in simplest form. For example, if they given 6:9, we have to divide it by some number and take it in a simplest form. Okay, for example, the answer we get is 11:55. We can write it, or we can leave it as 11:55. We have to divide it by the same number. It can be divided by 11. So 1 11s are 11 and 5 11s are 55. So like this, we have to get the ratio in simplest form. Okay students, so as far we see, ratio is a comparison of two more quantities of same kind and same unit, and it must be expressed as, it can be expressed as fraction. We use is to symbol to compare. The first number is antecedent and second number is consequent, and ratio is always positive, and ratio should be in the simplest form. Okay, now let's see what are the types of ratio. It is very much important that everyone should understand the meanings. Types of ratio or classifications of ratio. There are several classifications for ratio. The first one is duplicate ratio. Duplicate ratio means a square is to b square, which means if they given a is to b ratio, they wanted to convert it into duplicate ratio, we write it as a square is to b square. For example, if they given us 3:5 and asked us to convert it into duplicate ratio, we have to write it as 3 square is to 5 square, which gives us the answer 9:25. So the 3:5 duplicate ratio is going to be 9:25. And the next thing is triplicate ratio. As like as duplicate ratio, triplicate ratio means cube. So if they given a is to b, we write it as a cube is to b cube. For example, if they given the same number 3:5, when we convert it into triplicate ratio, it becomes 3 cube is to 5 cube, which is 27 is to 125. Okay. The third is subduplicate ratio. Subduplicate ratio means within the root, square root. So the subduplicate ratio of 3:5 is going to be √3 is to √5. Okay, and the fourth one is sub-triplicate ratio. Is going to be cube root. 3:5 sub-triplicate ratio is going to be cube root of 3 and cube root of 5. Okay, let's give me an best example to understand this, understand the duplicate ratio and triplicate ratio. If they given us this ratio and they wanted to convert this into subduplicate ratio, then we have to do is √4 is to √9. We can't leave it like it as, so we have to take the 4 away from the root. So the answer going to be 2:3. Okay, 2 2s are 4 and 3 3s are 9. And the sub-triplicate ratio is also the same. If they given us 8:27, they wanted us to convert this ratio into sub-triplicate ratio, then the answer going to be cube root of 8 and cube root of 27, and if we convert it, then the answer going to be 2:3. This means 2 into 2 into 2 is going to be 8, and 3 into 3 into 3 is going to be 27. And then the next is inverse ratio. Inverse ratio is simple. If they given us a is to b, then the inverse ratio of a is to b is equal to b is to a. For example, In this case, the inverse ratio of 8 is to 27 is going to be 27 is to 8. The inverse ratio of x is to y is going to be y is to x. The inverse ratio of 7 is to 9 is going to be 9 is to 7. In inverse ratio, the antecedent become the consequent and the consequent become the antecedent. That's all. Then other two is compound ratio and continued ratio. Compound ratio is nothing but multiplication of two ratios, two or more ratios. So for example, if they given us 2 is to 3 and 1 is to 3, if they wanted us to compound these two ratios, then the answer going to be the multiplication of antecedent numbers and the multiplication of consequent numbers. So the answer is going to be 2 into 1 is to 3 into 3. The antecedent and the antecedent and the consequent going to be multiplied. So 2 ones are 2 and 3 3s are 9. The answer going to be 2 is to 9. If they given us three numbers, for example, if they wanted us to compound these three numbers 8 is to 3, then the answer going to be antecedents multiplied by antecedents and consequence multiplied by consequence. So the answer going to be 1 into 5 into 8 is to 2 into 7 into 3. So the answer is 40 is to 42. If we short this form, then the answer is going to be 20 is to 21. Okay, you got it. In basic, continued ratio means, so basically continued ratio means when more than two items are compared. For example, when A is to B compared, this is normal ratio. But when more than two quantities compared, for example, A is to B is to C compared, then it is continued ratio. A is to B is to C is to D, also continued ratio. In short, continued ratio means when more than two numbers are compared. That's all, friends. Thank you for watching the videos. Hope you like it. Thank you.